This is BBC News. I'm Nicholas Owen. The headlines at 4. Egypt releases footage of airstrikes against Islamic State targets in Libya in retaliation for the apparent beheadings of Egyptian Christians. 2 men are charged with helping the gunman who murdered 2 people in gun attacks in Copenhagen. The Danish Prime Minister says that Danes will not be intimidated. More than 2,000 migrants arrive in Sicily after being rescued as they tried to cross the Mediterranean from Libya. Also coming up in the next hour, a fresh warning here about the dangers of smoking high-potency cannabis. A study suggests the drug is behind almost a quarter of all new cases of psychotic conditions. The Duchess of Cambridge warns in a video message that children with mental health issues are missing out on support.
The stigma around mental health means that many children do not get the help that they so badly need. This needs to change.
Good afternoon, welcome to BBC News. Egypt has carried out a series of airstrikes over Libya in reprisal for the apparent beheading of up to a group of 21 Coptic Christians by Islamic State extremists. At least 40 militants are reported to have been killed. Egypt says there'll be more air attacks and is also demanding that the United States-led coalition fighting IS in Syria and Iraq extends its operations to Libya. The Egyptian Air Force has released these pictures of the raids, which were supported by Libyan forces. An Egyptian military spokesman said camps, training sites and weapons dumps were hit around the Islamist stronghold of Derna. Well, in a moment, we'll speak to Egypt's ambassador here. First, this report from our World Affairs correspondent, Nick Childs.
In darkness, Egyptian Air Force F-16s turn a country's shock and outrage into action. The Egyptian military says against jihadist targets in Libya, following the brutal mass killing there of Egyptian Coptic Christians by militants aligned to Islamic State. In the Egyptian capital, Cairo, Egyptians had woken to angry newspaper headlines calling for revenge.
I swear this is a criminal terrorist act done by people who have absolutely nothing to do with religion. And personally, I didn't sleep last night after what happened.
It gives the whole world a horrible and disgusting image of Islam and Arab countries. This is imposed on us by foreign countries, or terrorist groups to be more specific.
Carnage, infighting and instability in Libya since the fall of Colonel Gaddafi have allowed Islamists to gain a foothold. After the latest events, Egypt and France have now called for the UN Security Council to meet. And Egypt says the US-led coalition against Islamic State in Syria and Iraq should confront militants in Libya as well. The impoverished Egyptian village from where many of the murdered men came. But the emotional fallout from their killing is spreading far beyond as people get to grips with how and why they were killed.
IS actually put out a statement saying they killed them because not only they were Christian, but they were Coptic Christians, claiming that they were part of what they called Coptic Crusaders, which was totally ludicrous. I mean, we've faced so much in the past centuries, in the past decades. And we've never once taken up arms, we've never once had a violent reaction.
A sombre Egyptian president meets the country's Coptic leaders. But beyond the immediate reactions to the brutal killings, there are broader questions now for the international community about what all this means for the struggle against Islamic State. Nick Childs, BBC News.
Well, with me now is the Ambassador Nasser Kamel, who is the Egyptian representative in the United Kingdom. Good afternoon to you. When you heard about those beheadings and then you saw the reaction of your own country, what are your thoughts?
Shocked, dismayed, and of course saddened by the loss of life of innocent Egyptians who were just trying to make a living. You saw the village where they come from. I do not deny we have poverty in our country, and those people were just innocent people trying to make a living and to send some money back home, and being killed by this heinous organization is definitely a shock to us.
Do you think it has brought home to all Egyptians, or most Egyptians, that Islamic State is a threat to your country quite directly?
Well, Islamic State, Al-Qaeda, so many affiliation, they all represent the same ideology, an ideology of hate, an ideology who is trying to twist a religion that is about accepting the other, a religion of love, into something ugly. So we are in this fight, and we've been in this fight for quite some time. So this has brought to us the fact that Libya has become, unfortunately, a hotbed of terrorism. I am just quoting your Prime Minister, who was speaking today, condemning this act, and we are quite thankful for his word of support, when he said we should not allow Libya to become a hotbed for terrorists.
Now, your country has said that it would like to see the United States-led coalition, the United Kingdom and others, get involved now in Libya. How likely do you think that is to happen?
Well, why first? Because we think that what's happening in Libya is a grave danger to peace and stability in our region and to the world. And the same way it is, what's happening in Syria and Iraq is of grave danger to security and stability of the region and the world. So we're asking our allies that we've been fighting together against Daesh in Syria and Iraq to come and also deal and help in defeating the same menace which is now threatening openly in the video you just mentioned, that their next move, and they pointed their fingers to the sea, their next move will be in Europe. We're telling them, you're 300 kilometers away from this. Italy is 300 kilometers away from this. If you ignore what's happening in Libya, if you ignore that extremism and terrorism is spreading in that country, and choose not to act, you will be, and we will be, suffering the consequences.
And should we expect more airstrikes? And is there the possibility of Egyptian ground troops getting involved? Because as we've been hearing, the Egyptian army has a lot on its hands in the Sinai and other places.
Well, I don't have the answer, definitely. I'm not the one who makes those decisions. But I know very well that the Egyptian leadership and the Egyptian people, and you've seen it in your report, they want Egypt to fight this terrorist organization. And they're quite resolved to put an end to it, be it in northern Sinai or in Libya or elsewhere. Terrorism has struck all over, in Denmark, in France, I don't want to quote, even in the UK a few years back. We don't want, we are all in it together. And it is closer to home, and when I mean home, I mean everywhere, than you might think. So yes, we're resolved. Yes, we're asking the whole international community to join the fight. And yes, we're in it until this fight is fought and won by us meaning the international community.
Ambassador, thank you very much indeed for joining us.
Thank you.
Just wait there for a moment. Thank you very much.